Hey watch aficionados, I hope you're all really well. Sunday the 24th of November, how time is flying. I thought I'd get a video out. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's steelmoon_watches. So welcome back guys. Check me out, getting a third video out in a week. You know, today's video, I'm not going to summarize too much before I get into it. I'm just going to say what the video is about, and plus you would have read the title, but I think it's just going to go into sort of a bit watch addiction and confusion. I think so many people are going through a watch addiction and confusion stage, especially if I go into my my Instagram DMs and some of the stuff that's happening in there from people. Look, I've been there. I've been there. I might have to start charging people for for some of my advice, because there are some people out there. I mean, there are loads of watches. There's only one of us. We only have 2 wrists. Unless we start wearing watches on our legs, there's not much we can do, guys. We need to start being a little bit picky in terms of what we're doing out there with the watch stuff. You know, I personally, the best sort of relief and the most fun and exciting time personally is when you buy a watch. You get that amazing dopamine hit. When you buy a watch, it's just an amazing feeling. You know, you're like walking on silk. You're on cloud 9. But equally, I think a really great feeling is when you sell a watch that you don't want. When you just get that cash in your hand and you're like, oh, thank goodness, just get out of my life or whatever. I think both those feelings can be a little bit, well, can be just as strong. And it's funny because one is incoming and one is leaving or departing, and then it's both obviously regarding watches. I myself was looking at a watch today. I'm kind of thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for a while. For those of you who follow my Insta, you probably will know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to talk about it here today and why I want it, but I do like it. Do I think it's worth the asking price? No, not really. Do I think a lot of stuff is worth the asking price or what we're paying? No, it's not, is it? It's not. So yeah, you know, there's a few people, I'm not going to name names, but actually they've given me enough of an idea in terms of just getting a video out today, keeping you guys busy and entertained and whatnot. And one of them, there's a friend who's got several watches which are all really similar. Currently, they're all really similar. They could all do the same job. They could all be worn to a formal occasion. And I'm just thinking, and he's like, oh, should I, you know, what do you think? I'm like, you could get a bit of variety in there. You know, he's like, oh, should I get like, what do you think of, you know, this one, or, you know, a Breitling or whatever? I'm like, you know what? I'd honestly chop in the Omega, whatever the hell it is, Aquaterra for a Breitling, because you've got these 2 other Rolexes, and the Aquaterra and Rolexes are all kind of doing the same job. So why not? I mean, you know, confusion. But then again, you know, me, him, others keep buying, changing. I've kind of come out of it a little bit now. Like, it doesn't excite me as much. I try to limit my kind of just watch searching in the classifieds or online to maybe once or twice a week. Like, I don't go near that stuff anyway near what I used to in terms of frequency. But obviously a lot of people are just into the collecting, into the hoarding of all of the watches, and for different occasions. I've kind of tried to set myself like a reasonable budget that I want to have in watches, and this is like an interesting way for me to look at it. Like, you could take X amount of budget, let's say you want to have in watches, you could use all of that budget on one watch. Or let's say you're like, oh, I want to have a total of $30,000 in watches. You could have 3 really nice watches, or you could have 6 really nice watches, or you could have one really, you know, amazing watch for $30,000. But again comes the whole thing, and I'm not going to go into it now, but does it suit your lifestyle? You know, I've read it, I watched it once in a video, and it was really interesting. You know, someone said, like, you know, if you're buying a gold watch, a lot of people can buy one. It's not about buying one that's the difficulty. It's, does it slot and work with your life? You know, do you live in a neighborhood for it? Do you take the type of holidays for it? do you go to the types of hotels for it? Where do you have the car for it? Where is your car valet parked for it? Or is your car parked around the corner somewhere, some jalopy, but you've got your gold watch? I mean, it's an interesting thing. That itself, I've watched a few videos, and for me, what I've tried to just set myself is just a budget on watches, which I'm comfortable with, and I don't want to go over it. If I want to add something, unfortunately, something is just going to have to go. Something will just have to go. And I think that kind of works for me for now. I mean, look, everyone knows I've kind of sold everything I had. You know, now I'm kind of like, I barely have anything other than, you know, a couple of watches. So yeah, but kind of looking forward, and, you know, now that the weather's getting better, especially here in the Middle East, and going to Southeast Asia, it's always nice to have one extra watch here and there. But then I know people who are sort of more at the start of their journey, and this is an interesting way we can split it up as well. It's whether you're at the start of the journey, or you're kind of in the middle of the journey, or you kind of maybe feel that you've done the journey. That will affect into your sort of how pleased you are from watches, or how satisfied you are, like whether you need to keep hopping. I know people who are changing watches every 2 to 6 months at the moment because they're still trying to find the right one, you know, because they're sort of in the infancy of the whole hobby. Some of them message me saying, what do you think of this one, what do you think of that one, I really like this one, and then like, oh, I bought it, or I'm selling it, I'm gonna get this one, don't like that one. It is a crazy hobby, and you know, some of us can go 5, 10, 20 watches deep into it, and then comes that whole thing where every week or every morning you wake up going, oh, which watch do I wear? I remember I used to have that. I used to hate that. I used to really not enjoy that, and then you feel like none of the watches are yours because you're just wearing them, and it just becomes a bit of a hassle, like a pain in the ass. Now sort of being down to 2, it's so refreshing. It's just being down to 2. One on the Oyster, which is like proven, the sub date, and one on the Jubilee, which is like a little bit more elegant, fancy, wicked sports as well. And then the Panerai, That's it, you know. I do remember when I sold my watches a few months back, that feeling of when I sold them. Like, as much as I loved them, but that feeling of when you get the money back, the cash, and you're like, oh, I had this money in watches, what am I, an idiot? And it's so easy to be desensitized to it, you know, because the brand protects you, and depending on, horrible callous, depending on which brand you have, you know, the brand protects you, and it's fine, because, you know, for a lot of people, having the money in a bank or having the money in a watch, it's like the same thing. For me, it's kind of not. Like, I try not to fall into that trap. It's easy to, but I just don't think it's the right way to look at it. Something doesn't sit well with me. It's like, oh, I can have 10,000 in the bank, or I can have 10,000 on my wrist. It's the same. I'm like, it's not. It's not, because maybe you're just not a watch person and you just want to buy one to kind of show off, and I don't know. It's not the same. I'd rather the money in the bank, or put the money into something else that will give you some interest or some growth or whatever. But, you know, today's video, again, just watch confusion and watch addiction. I do think that a lot of us forget the dopamine spike that we get just from buying watches or hunting watches, you know, finding a particular one. I remember when I was looking for the Panerai 233, like for 2 years, I wasn't like looking for it daily, but I had it on my radar for a while. Like in my head, I was like, if one comes up, I'm gonna search around for one a little bit. If one comes up, I'm buying it. And when I got it, I was like, yeah, you know, it's great. Honestly speaking, the Panerai 233 strap thing is annoying me a little bit at the moment. I need to kind of have a little think about that. I also really like the Panerai submersible, but I just don't know if it's worth the money. Anyway, I said I wouldn't touch on the topic, but I touched on the topic. It's 50-50 in the watch community about that, but it's my journey anyway. What is important though in this watch addiction, watch confusion journey that we're all on, is just to make sure that the watch is serving what you want, and that it pleases you, not other people, because honestly speaking, no one gives a shit about what you wear. Like, unless it's like your watch geek friend, no one cares. But like, I have a few watch friends, and we all have different tastes in watches. We have an overlap. We have an overlap in watch, and that is pretty much the sub-date, a lot of us. But then all of us just like different things. So I'm not going to buy a watch for his or opinion, because they'll be like, it's not my thing. So it kind of has to please you. It has to put a smile on your face when you look in a mirror, when you're on the elevator, when you're whatever, when you wear it, you think, yeah, this is great. I really like this watch. Don't buy watches to please other people. Like, I know, one or two people who will try to get a president, or they'll try and get a Daytona because it's the one to have, in everyone's eyes. I don't think that's the right way to do it. But again, everyone's got a different journey. I'm not, some genuinely like it, a certain type of watch. President, for me, I'm not really. President's not my thing. Would I like to have one? Yeah, maybe one day. I think I'd like to have one. Is it my kind of cup of tea? Not necessarily. But it's important to get a watch that you like, and not give into social expectation or whatever is going to like please people around you, because no one cares, and they're not buying it. They're not looking after it. They're not looking after it. They're not insuring it. They're not babying it. They're not doing any of that stuff. Wearing it, you are. So forget them. Just get one for you. And most people don't care. In fact, all people don't care about which watch you have. As long as you have one that you feel is like a good de facto standard, and you feel good about it, do that. But I've moved on so far beyond that now that I think I've got the de facto standard, the 5-digit, super comfortable sub-date. But other than that, everything else is just kind of what pleases me. There was an interesting thing someone posted the other day about what we buy to wear versus what we buy to wear in terms of clothes, what we buy to wear and what we buy to wear as a watch. And there was a message about that. I've forgotten it completely. I might put it in the comment section when I post this video. But it was really quite relevant. I should have had it to hand right now. But guys, I'm not gonna sort of labour the point. The watch market isn't great right now, so it might be a good time to get some deals. I don't know. I still think that dealers and everyone are trying to kind of pump things up. I think Datejusts are like way overpriced for what they are. I mean, it wasn't even like that before, but suddenly everyone's jumped on the Datejust bandwagon, but I don't see it. Obviously the sports Rolexes, they're still quite in demand. There's a premium for them, the subs, the GMTs, yada, yada, yada. But I think it's a good time to buy now, but I think the prices are coming down. Obviously everyone's going through the Christmas cycle, etc. But just buy what you like, and obviously, and don't get addicted to watches. If you have a collection of 5 and you sell 2, try and just exist with 3. Doesn't mean, there's a space for 2 now. Try and sort of get that down. I had that for a bit. I remember when I sold quite a few, I was like, there's a space for like 3 or 4 watches now. And then I was like, well, no. Let's just, this was, I remember now how nice it felt to get the money back for them. Let's just enjoy that moment. Like, I don't want to be in that again. And now sort of being down to 2 main watches, it's lovely. Could I do 1 watch? Let's not run before we're walking, right? Could I do 1 watch? Nah. I think in the beginning I could, when I had the Hulk, but then Pandora's box opened up and it was like headshot, like watches. But now down to 2, super happy, super satisfied with it all. Away from the hobby a little bit now, seeing the world through a different lens, different priorities. And I think that's kind of maybe why I've kind of, I could call it a watch addiction, is pretty chilled right now. I'm not as confused as I used to be in terms of what I wanted. I think maybe because of the reasons that I want them, I'm really happy with the reasoning and my own reasoning. I don't need to justify it to anyone. And that's what helps me buy the right watch at the moment and add it at the right time. I think that's another thing. I really want to get if I do add a watch, it'll be at the right time, associated with like a milestone or something good happens, an occasion. It was all too easy before, just buy it, enjoy it, buy it, sell it, because it was like, it wasn't associated with anything other than just the purchase or the hunt of it, or the dopamine. It wasn't associated with like the birth of a child or work promotion or a significant year, birth year, whatever it might be, birth date, your birth date. I think that kind of has left a little bit, and everyone got into this cycle of just buying, selling, buying. And I think that's that. When you lose that association, you know, kind of, for me personally, it kind of loses something, you know. Someone, I remember many years ago when I bought my first house, when I bought the Hulk. That was really cool, you know. Can't believe I sold that watch, but hey. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to the ramble. Thank you. And I shall see you in the next video soon. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye.